In this extra special episode, we are going to go over 10 tips on running a terrible conference. All these lessons are fabulous things that I learned being at Modern Frontends last week. And we've gone to hassle and compiled some of the biggest tips and takeaways from that event so you don't have to go next year. So let me start with number 1. Getting sponsors is hard. So to make it easier, what you can do is just lie to them. You can advertise on your site that you will have like 3,000 attendees and only have a couple hundred people show up on the day. It doesn't really matter. What are they going to do about it anyway? So tell them that you're going to give them whatever they ask for, and make sure you're getting lots of money from these disgusting open source companies. What do they do for anyone? Anyway, so what you want to do is get as much money as possible from them, because that will set you up if not enough people show up on a day, which is very unlikely with the huge ticket price anyway. You can make more money by offering an online version and then just not actually doing it. It's a great money-saving trick that was used at Modern Frontends because they didn't need to even set up any cameras or pretend we're going to set them up, and everyone who was online was probably ages away, so they weren't really going to give out. And you can do what genius trick this organizer had done to deal with those people and just ignore them and call them trolls. Because let's be fair, any negative feedback to your terrible conference is definitely trolls. Number 3 is to do no pre-checks. You have a technical speaker list, they'll be able to figure this out way better than any professionals could ever anyway. So here's just a nice little time-saving trick. You don't need to get up early and ask people to come in early and make sure laptops and things work. Just open the doors, let them come in, they'll figure it out. You don't need to have anyone around to check on these things. It will be fine. How could it go wrong doing no pre-checks? Tip number 4 is, if you are going to take photos, you might as well have one of the stages looking good. So let's make sure you look after the main stage. That's the biggest one with the most lights. So let's get an MC for that one. But the other ones, they definitely don't need it. Anyone else? Well, they can just go fuck themselves. It really doesn't matter. They were already setting themselves up anyway, so they can let themselves off and tell the next person to come up. They'll figure it out. You can just be busy putting your feet up in the speaker's room, because that's the easiest thing to do. Forget the stress of being a first-time speaker after flying all this way and not getting paid for your time. You do not need to look after these people. Number 5 is cheap out on non-essentials, because tickets are only £600 and you're only getting tens of thousands from sponsors, so you can't really afford to give somebody, coffee whenever they want, or more than, say, a slice of bread. So just don't do it. Another great trick is don't even have swag bags. Those normal little goodie bags you get when you go to fancy conferences? No, don't have them. It doesn't matter that you told the sponsors earlier that you would have their logos on the bag. That just doesn't matter. Again, we talked about them. Filthy people, we don't need to look after them. We don't need to acknowledge our contracts. Who cares? Number 6 is one of my favorites, and that's get ahead of the bad press, because people will start to notice. They might say like, why aren't we getting all these things? So you better tell them when they come in on the day that you actually run a better event for free, and all the money that you spend will go to that event. But don't tell people beforehand, because maybe they don't want to spend their money on a different event and they were hoping to spend their money on the event they were going to. But that sounds crazy. I'm going to go with the genius that was at Modern Frontends for this one. It has to be some sophisticated stuff that I'm just not able to comprehend with my small brain, that thinks maybe if I pay £600 for a ticket, that you could just at least put on a decent show. I mean, it's not like you could do some fundraising at the event and tell people what you're up to and that people would be kind and give you stuff. No, instead, just force people to give all the money by telling them after they've already arrived that all of your money will be spent elsewhere. Number 7 is one I wish I got to see in person, but according to some blog posts that I have linked in the description, there was a confrontation in the speaker room, because obviously when you start treating people poorly, they might get annoyed and start asking questions. The best defense is a good offense. So what you should do is go full assault on them before they know what to hit them, and just, cut them down. They don't know what they're talking about. Just make sure you abuse that person so they know who the boss is and that you're under pressure. You're running a big tech conference. You've got this. So just don't mind those people. They're clearly trolls again. We know how we deal with people on social media already. We can do the same thing to people in person who give us bad feedback too. We just ignore them, dismiss them. Number 8 is let your final speaker close the event. Now, I don't mean by telling them ahead of time, because they might have something prepared, they might have feedback that they'll give live on stage. Just land it on them. Let them just walk away from the stage, and then people will figure out that the event is over. And 9 and 10 are these are two interrelated ones. After that speaker has finished and walked away, you need to just get out of there, because people are going to be confused. They're going to be wondering what's going on at that moment. So you want to leave right at that moment before people can corner you. You want to have your jacket on, your bag on, and you want to leave and be one of the first people at the venue. Who cares how people leave? Security, you hired them, so they'll just start chucking people out. It's amazing you have them there for the day. So you get out, you're probably hungry, it's been a busy day, you're after taking all this money, you probably want to spend it. So get out of there as quick as possible. Security will do their job and get rid of all those nerds out of the end of your conference for you. And the last one that I want to say is, I hope you can tell that I am totally annoyed at the behavior that went on at Modern Frontends and this alleged organizer. I'm making this video because I really do hope that this lady is never allowed to run an event again. I will put links in the description below to all of the stories that some of the speakers have written so far about the event, because I was absolutely horrified to see how some of my friends were treated and how some of the first time speakers were treated, and just the general dismissal of any feedback that was given to the organizer. A simple apology probably would have sufficed for a lot of people, but instead this person has doubled down on thinking that they are excellent at what they do, and it is totally okay to basically commit fraud and walk away from this unscathed. So hopefully this video helps people out there know to not go next year, and hopefully it stops her from putting on another event and taking people's money without actually doing anything with it. I haven't named the person in this video, but I will put a lot of links in the description of the video to blog posts who will name this person. I am just not naming them because I think it might leave the video up a bit longer, but who knows? I don't know legally if I'm meant to say any of this stuff or whatever else, but really, and quite frankly, I don't care. As an event organizer myself and a community leader, I would hate to see this done to more people. So if you want to find out more and you want to read a little bit more about some of this person's antics, check the description below. The speakers have a way more thorough inputs than I do. I was just an attendee. I was lucky enough to get an early bird ticket, so I didn't have to waste all of my money on this thing. But by God, if it wasn't for talking to such amazing people at this event, it would have been a total write-off.